to Official Storytime with Miss Anna. Today we're going to be reading Portrait of an Artist, Claude Monet by Caroline Von Muller, written by Lucy Brownridge, illustrated by Caroline Von Muller. Let's see what the book is all about. Claude Monet grew up in a pretty and blustery little port town in the north of France. Claude had lots of friends. They loved him because he drew funny charcoal sketches of them called caricatures. As he grew older, he realized that in the big city of Paris, people might even pay him to draw silly pictures of them. And so, as a teenager, he went there to make a living. Claude came home from Paris to see his family, and he met an artist named Eugene Boudin. Eugene noticed that young Claude had a rare and special talent, and with a little help, he could become a brilliant artist. Eugene thought that a real artist needed to learn how to use serious tricky materials like oil paint and paint landscapes instead of people. So Eugene spent all summer teaching Claude as much as he could. After trying oil painting, Claude wanted to go to art school in Paris and train properly. As soon as he arrived at the school, he made best friends with another student named Camille Pissarro. Claude and Camille were desperate to paint the changing seasons and all the colors in the setting sun. They were disappointed to find that at school they learned how to paint detailed still lifes and historic battle scenes. Still, together the friends dreamed about all the things they would paint when they had finished school. Claude liked to paint outside. It made him feel closer to nature, but it was not a very normal thing to do, and people thought he was strange. One person who didn't think it was strange was Claude's friend Camille de Perroux. Claude loved to paint her in the beautiful gardens of Paris. Camille had lots of ideas for where she could stand in his pictures. Her ideas were so good sometimes he couldn't decide between them and would paint her 4 times in the same picture. They inspired each other, and the usual young pair fell deeply in love. Claude and his best friend Camille Pissarro and Alfred Sisley spent sunny afternoons down by the river singing, but they didn't go there to swim like everybody else. Instead, the friends tried over and over again to paint a bright sun as it danced on the water. The shimmering water was always moving as the bathers splashed and made shadows on the surface. This made the water a very tricky thing to put into paint. It was like a hard puzzle. Claude was thrilled when he made a brushstroke look just like a glint of sun. Claude was happy. He married Camille and loved painting the river. Soon, the Monets had their first baby, Jean, but nobody wanted to buy Claude's strange, splodgy pictures of rivers, and now there were 3 of them to feed. Claude felt terribly worried. He knew that he needed to make some more money, or else his little family would starve. Just as Claude was deciding what he should do, war hit Paris and it was no longer safe to stay there with his little family. They packed their bags and moved to London, along with lots of their friends. Claude was excited because he had a new river to paint. It was the River Thames, which flowed right through the middle of London. In London, he visited galleries and was amazed by what he saw. He saw paintings by Constable filled with wonderful warm light, and others by Turner, which showed the whole sky swirling around in a way Claude had never imagined. He was desperate to do what they had done, but in his own way. So he painted and painted until he made a picture he called Impression Sunrise. Once the war passed, he put it on display in Paris alongside pictures by his friends. Out of the 400 paintings, Claude stood out the most. People were astonished by the way the whole scene felt like swirling water, and the sun was so strange, was so orange. It looked almost like it was vibrating. From this day on, Claude and his friends became known as the Impressionists, after the name of the painting. Claude had done it. He had invented a brand new way of showing water and light. Claude was floating on a cloud of happiness. The war had ended. The show was a success. He celebrated by painting his wonderful wife and family. At this time, his paintings looked drenched in liquid light and soft summer breeze. His hazy and light dappled paintings looked more like captured memories rather than real scenes. Monet was glad he had painted so many pictures of his happy family. Soon, his beloved Camille became sick just before having their second baby. Eventually, Camille passed away, and Claude and his two little boys moved in with friends. They had a wonderful garden by Claude's beloved river scene. He spent many hours on the river, painting and deep in thought. Although he missed Camille terribly, Claude treasured the paintings he had made of their life together. With darkness in his heart, Claude kept himself going by trying even harder to paint light. Claude knew he had to cheer himself up, and so he started one of his most magical projects. He moved to a beautiful stone house with a big empty yard. He spent years filling it with ponds and filling those ponds with water lilies. He planted delicate trees on the banks and built little bridges across the water. In time, he created an oasis of flowers and sparkling water that still exists today. By the time the garden was finished, Claude was growing old and his two boys had grown up. He used his freedom to travel to London and Paris and paint his favorite things from his time spent living on each place. He painted his favorite church in Paris, some haystacks near the Water Lily House, and the Houses of Parliament by the river Thames. He lovingly painted each thing again and again, just to make sure he had captured their personalities in every season and every color of sunshine. Claude had captured all that he had marveled at as a young man back in his dingy art school. His final challenge was to paint that waterscape in his own garden. He painted huge canvases of water lilies that wrapped the whole way around a large room. When he stood in the middle of them, it was as though he were in the middle of his sparkling ponds. He truly had become the master of light. And that, my friends, was the end of this beautiful story. I see you next time. Bye.